lost faith in Sprong. I think he was going to be the future captain, and I still think he has the possibility, though. But now that's not going to happen because he's gone.
Here we are, about to be 6 years later since the trade, and it's been 5 seasons later, about to be six since the 2019 season. Revisiting the Daniel Sprong Marcus Pettersson trade, a one-for-one deal that happened in late 2018 and in the 2018-19 season. For those who know about me, I was very hyped about Sprong when we drafted him. Sprong was drafted at a second round pick, 46 overall, and Marcus Patterson, he was drafted 2014 on the Anaheim Ducks, second round pick, eighth pick, and 38th overall. So, about Sprong, for those who don't know, when Sprong was drafted, he was projected to be an amazing steal for the Pens. And I thought he was going to be the future captain, as I said previously in my video before when he was traded. I thought he was going to be the future captain, and other people projected the Pens' future and thought he was going to put up 30 goals. And I thought he could possibly put 75 to 80 points a year and be a really good right winger. And when Getzel came up, I thought the future was Sprong on the wing and Getzel for center. And that's what I thought the Pens' future was going to be like. And when Sprong was called up in 2018 season, halfway, I saw he was going to do some major damage. So let's revisit this trade years later. First season of Sprong, he plays 18 games, gets 2 goals, 2 points, -1, 2017-18. Before I mention what happened in 2017-18, Sprong was sent down and he got injured. But overall, it was an injury. We all saw it for us Pens fans that he'll be back up in no time next season. And 20. Let me find it. So yeah, Sprong doesn't play in 2016-17 AHL, but he plays one more year of Charlotte Town Islanders. He puts up 32 goals, 27 assists, and 59 points, and a plus 29. 2017-18, 65 games in the AHL, 32 goals, and 65 points. It looks like he's developing really well. 2017-18, he only plays 8 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, and is +2, and doesn't play the remaining of that season, which the Pens would go on to lose in 6 games versus the Washington Capitals, and Washington would eventually go on to win the Stanley Cup. 2018-19 season rolls around. Sprong is confirmed to be a main, but he's playing on fourth line minutes with Matt Collin. I guess Sullivan. A lot of people say Sullivan didn't like him, but maybe he would have played better if he would have played with Getzel and Sid. But so anyway, Sprong is only plays, gets 4 assists, is a -7 with the Pens. Let's go on to Marcus Pettersson. Not going to talk about his first few years with the Ducks. Well, I guess that is part of it. Marcus Pettersson, when he was playing with the Ducks, he had 27 games and 6 assists and 6 points. And if he would have stayed with the Ducks, I don't know how much points would have been and how many games he would have played. But so yeah, the trade happens, and I'm upset by it. I think the Pens are going to regret it. But let's look at this trade, breaking it down years later. 2018-19, Marcus Pettersson plays 57 games for the Pens, gets 2 goals, 17 assists, and 19 points, and is a plus 13 when in Anaheim he was a plus 4. Sprong, he scores in his Anaheim Ducks debut, and I remember when that happened, I was like, oh no, they're going to regret this trade, and the Ducks are going to have a good future captain and prospect. Sprong does play pretty decent for his time with Anaheim his first year. 14 assists, but he's a -9 and has 19 points. That's not what people were expecting. I'm sure people were expecting 25 goals to 45 points to start off, or even 50. So let's go to the second year with the Pens. The Pens made all those playoffs years with Marcus Pettersson, except for the last 2 seasons. 2019 20, 69 games, shortened season, because you know what? 2 goals, 20 assists, and 22 points. Went up, plus 9. Well, looking at Sprong, he was in the AHL majority of the time in the 2019 season. He was sent back down. Then he's traded to the Washington Capitals, and let's see if he played. Nope, he didn't play in the 2020 playoffs. He's still young at the time, and he still has a chance to find his game. So yeah, Sprong is with Washington. Then in 2021, he has a much better season with a career high of 20 points plus 7, 42 games played, which was a shortened season. Let's go to the AHL and see what he played for the Ducks. Wow, he didn't even play much games in the AHL for Hershey in 1920. He plays 5 games, and he really drops down compared to his AHL best season of his career, which was 65 points and 32 goals. Like people like me and him were hoping for him to be in the NHL to put 30 goals and put up 60 to 70 points, or maybe hell pushing 80. And let's go to Pettersson. In 1920, as I said, he has a career year. 2021, he has a down year because it was a shortened season. Plus, he didn't play the greatest, but he for scoring, but he was a good defenseman. 2022, he has 19 points, 17 assists, and 2 goals. He's a second pair defenseman. He's not going to put up tons of points, but he played really well for his game. And as you see the stats, he had a career season, and then he had a career season again with this year, 2024. Most goals, most points, and most assists. Meanwhile, Sprong in I missed the 2020. Yeah, he did play in the AHL. 39 games, but it was a shortened season, I guess we can say. But he was a -11, and and he really dropped down in his points and goals. 2021, Sprong has a really good, not really good, like better in a shortened season. As you see right here, 20 points, 7 assists, and 13 goals. Then he gets in 2022 47 games played, and that was when we had a, I think we had a full 82. Yeah, we did have a full 82 game season. But then Sprong has a terrible with Washington. 8 goals, but he's a +6, 6 assists, and 14 points. Then he's traded to Seattle, his fourth team since not 14th, fourth team since the trade, because he was on Pittsburgh, Ducks, Washington, then to the Kraken, and plays 16 games, is a -6, and puts up 6 goals and only 6 points with his team, which was Seattle's first year, I believe. Yeah. 2023, 66 games, and this is his best season of all time in the NHL. 21 goals, and he's playing Fort Wayne minutes, by the way, and 25 assists and 46 points and a +13 in Seattle's second season that we go on to the second round and losing in Game 7 against the Stars. Like, this was Sprong's best season. I thought maybe Sprong could have turned out to be a decent top 6 winger for Seattle and be part of their future and like help lead with Jarek McCann since he's older. And then he is departed, which I'm surprised Seattle didn't sign him. I thought he would re-sign. Plays 76 games, 18 goals, 25 assists, and 43 points, and his points had dropped, and he is a -5. And his playoffs numbers aren't the greatest. Marcus Pettersson, even though he's a second pair defenseman, he still did better numbers than Sprong over these last few years, looking back at this trade. I remember being upset, like I said, that the Pens were going to regret it, but let's look at Sprong. Like, he's been on how many teams now? Pittsburgh's first team, Ducks second, third Washington, fourth Seattle, fifth the Red Wings. Now he's on his sixth team in 5 years. And let's be real about Sprong. At most, he's just a bottom sixer now. Like, he may put it up good numbers, in which, when I first saw this, I'm like, maybe he can finally find his game and put 30 goals, possibly 50 to 60 points a season. And maybe he can be somewhat of what people projected him, what I thought he was going to be. But let's be real. He's just a fourth liner or third liner majority of the time. If he can score like crazy, maybe he can move up with the second line with Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson is the first line. Like, he would have to play extremely well off the bat to play with Vancouver, since they have a young team, and Jim Rutherford did some major surgery, not like a rebuild. Like, and for the Pens, their playoffs are done, but I would like to see Pettersson be re-signed and be the future veteran defenseman for the Pens. I personally think it would be the right move, because Letang is getting older. He's going to play until he's 41. Like, the Pens are going to need someone to eventually, when Letang is gone, be the mentor defenseman. And he played really well, Marcus Pettersson, this year. I would love to see him re-signed. Like, he's still in his 20s, and he played extremely well, putting up 30 points, and he did play with Eric Carlson, which was really good. And I'm pretty sure Eric Carlson did help mentor him and give him some advice and improved his confidence. But overall, looking back on this trade, I'm glad it happened because if we would have not traded Sprong, his value would have been nothing by 2020 or 2021. I know some people make the argument maybe Sullivan didn't like him. Who knows? Like, but he was given a few chances to play with Gessel and Sid, and we gotta remember for Sprong, um, he had some players that were veterans that like Ryan Getzloff, Corey Perry, to help mentor him, and he was given some top 6 minutes, and he just never produced like we saw it. Like he does play decent, like, but he's a -9 and only puts up 14 goals. That's not something people were expecting. I think most people would expect him to put up after having time in the AHL to develop and get you some games to get to the NHL level, to put up 25 goals to 50 points. I think that was probably realistic for him. And even though the Pens have never won a playoff series since 2018, and they got Pettersson in 2019 season, Sprong really did not produce in the playoffs when he was on the Washington Capitals. And let's take a look again at his playoffs. He only puts 1 point, and look at his points in the playoffs. It's not good. Well, Pettersson like helped out, and so looking back at this trade, the Pens won it because the Ducks, when they first traded for him, he was supposed to be part of the Ducks' future, and the Ducks were going into a rebuild season at that time because after they got swept by the San Jose Sharks in 4 games in 2018, their playoff run era with Getzloff and Perry was over. And they were an older team, and they had to begin a rebuild. And the rest is history. So I'm really glad the trade happened. Like, as for Sprong, like I said, he's just a bottom 6 player now. Third or fourth line minutes, and I think this really might be his last shot to get some top 6 minutes and try to be a second liner at the most. So yeah, this is me looking back at the trade 6 years later almost, and 5 years since the 2019 season.